I wanted to follow up on the Caitlin Clark physicality of the WNBA point because of so many people in the comments. The theme of the last video was Caitlin needs the freedom to play her game. She doesn't need to be met with any bitterness because of all the attention she's brought to the game. However, that doesn't mean she needs to be coddled and avoid all the physical play that is sure to come her way. Because look, that's the root of basketball. If you're a really talented player, people are going to try and rough you up. People are going to try and rough you up. Maybe it's a little bit of a, hey, welcome to the league. This is what it's about. But a lot of it's also, this is how we want to stop you. Hence the Jordan rules, the bad boy Pistons and the Jordan rules. And Caitlin Clark is going to get better as a result of this. She's going to get better because she's going to learn how to deal with it. She's going to prove herself and she's going to tough her way through it. Because for everybody who says, she shouldn't eat a rough screen from Breanna Stewart, all those things, imagine if it was a man, because I want to treat Caitlin Clark, and the women the same way we would treat the men when it comes to physicality, because they are proving themselves, to a whole new audience here. And if it was a dude who was getting roughed up a little bit and we were complaining about it, people would say it's soft. And Caitlin Clark is not soft. She is battling through. But here's a comment, for instance, says, imagine if Caitlin gets hurt overnight, all the fans would disappear. So yes, they need to be careful. Look, no one wants to see Caitlin Clark get hurt. That would be an absolute disaster for the WNBA. It would be a disaster for me. And I don't want anyone taking any cheap shots at Clark. The Breanna Stewart screen that I showed, I didn't think that was a cheap shot. You got to call the screen out if you're a teammate. That's on her teammate. I've run into blind screens before. And I guess it's like I take any excuse to compare myself to the preeminent athletes in the world. But I've run into blind screens before. It sucks. I've had people try and get up in my chest before. It sucks. But you got to fight through it. You got to play through it. And Clark's going to learn how to draw fouls off of all that. Because I got to stop calling her for ticky-tack fouls on the other end of things. But she's aware of it. She's talking about it. Here was what Caitlin actually had to say about the physical play.
The biggest challenge for myself coming from college to professional level is, obviously, first of all, the physicality, but second of all, like being competitive, but also understanding this is a young group, this is a young team. I'm young. It's going to be a learning process. Not everything's going to be perfect. Like I was talking to my dad on the phone, and he just said, go out there, have fun, compete, play hard. And every day you're going to learn something new. And just take that and continue to build on it. And things will really start clicking when they should.
And, I think that's good advice from her dad to her. Her dad has been watching her game all this time. And you saw Caitlin get frustrated at times. And she had reason to be frustrated at times. I mean, she made some great passes that weren't caught by her teammates. And I saw Christy Side say, hey, show a little patience. They'll get there. And I think that's all part of the process as well. Because when you look at Caitlin Clark and her game, that is so much of her game, is how well she sees the floor. And, she's going to have haters. She has all this attention on her, which brings the haters in, and they're going to say, look at the turnovers. Oh, because Clark played great the other day. Look at the turnovers. Well, it's like when a quarterback throws an interception that goes right through a receiver's hands and it winds up as an interception. It's still credited as an INT to the quarterback, unfortunately. And that's the case with Caitlin Clark on some of these plays in the WNBA, where she has made the right pass and her teammate hasn't handled it, and it is marked as a turnover. And I've seen people say, that shouldn't be a turnover. I mean, it's whoever has possession last and then the ball goes to the other team. That's who the turnover is credited to. They're not going to go back and see which the most righteous turnover is, I guess, if you will. But again, all of this is part of the growing process. And I'm not saying there aren't players in the league who might be a little bitter or, again, I've gone back to the resentment factor for some of the women who are legends of the game and didn't get this much attention. But the best thing for the WNBA is for Caitlin Clark to play well. And the best thing for Caitlin Clark's legend is for her to go through adversity, for her to overcome it, because it can't be handed to you. And look, I'm saying this as somebody who's rooting really hard for her and praising the way she's dealt with it. I said after that game, 2 games ago when she was mad angry. That was a good sign. She ain't going to lay down. She's tough. I mean, she's not a really big physical presence, and that's part of what they're trying to do. It's what you want to do with a jump shooter. Take them out of their rhythm because you're beating them up a little bit. But once she shows that she can handle that, then what are the options for the defenses? And once her teammates get acclimated to it, because you got to, Melissa Smith, I think, is going to play very well with Caitlin Clark as the season goes on. I think the lineup change to get Kelsey Mitchell is going to work out very well for the Fever as the season goes on. These are the type of things that will help them grow, help them get better. And it's just growing pains in that sense. Now, I'll be talking about the game with the Connecticut Sun. That'll be a good barometer because, man, when do they get to play? When do the Fever get to play a team that's not great, right? That's another aspect of this. But, Caitlin Clark, she's a needle mover. She's a lightning rod. The comment section will show you this. I mean, I'm sure once I post this video, the comment section is going to go up because you have all of her hardcore supporters who don't want anything bad to happen to her ever, and everything that happens is not her fault. And then you have these wild haters who come out and say, oh, she had this many turnovers, or, welcome to the WNBA, she's a fluke, and all that stuff after 2 games. And really, when you look at it, relatively speaking, statistically, she is doing as well as almost anybody in a rookie season. And we saw the flashes of her game and what she does best in that last game against the Liberty. And this is just the opening test. This is just the opening test. But she's going to pass the physical test. She's already shown that. I don't want to see any cheap shots. I don't want to see anything dirty. Trying to hurt Caitlin Clark is just cutting off your nose to spite your face in so many different ways. But trying to stop her, that's competitiveness. That's defense. That's the thing that a superstar has had to deal with in basketball forever. Forever, superstars have to deal with that. And Caitlin Clark is just dealing with it now on a team that hasn't adjusted to each other yet, on a team that has played better teams than they are so far. But I love the way she's responded, to be honest. She's getting frustrated. She's fighting through it. She's improving. And I think really what happened with that Breanna Stewart screen, let me just pull it up one more time, see if I can go the slow-mo version, because everybody was been talking about that this whole time. The thing with the Stewart screen and the reaction to it is there are the people who want to dunk on Caitlin Clark, right? So they show you this. There's the first, Brianna's waiting for her. Nobody calls this out. Nobody calls this out. Look, somebody's got to say something. Stewart's not even moving. That's a perfectly clean and legal screen. There's nothing wrong with that at all. Nothing wrong with that at all. But because Clark falls down, because it's like a kind of moment, it gets shared by all the haters. But Clark got herself right back up. Let me see. Did she get herself right back up on the same play, right? Dusted herself off and had a great game. So the physical play in the WNBA is only going to make her better because she's going to show she can play through it.